Thank you very much. Welcome to Durban. Fingers crossed we have a great game in store. The final matches in this group taking place. Brazil, Portugal here in Durban. Ivory Coast, North Korea in Nelspruit. Commentary on that on the 5 Live website if you want to listen. Mike Sewell and Robbie Savage. Brazil top this group. 2 wins out of 2, 6 points. Portugal in second have 4 points. Ivory Coast have 1. North Korea have none. If Ivory Coast are going to get past Portugal and qualify along with Brazil, then there's going to have to be a 9-goal swing, and they're going to have to score an awful lot of goals because it goes on goal difference and then goals scored. As it stands, Portugal have 7 goals. Ivory Coast has scored just the once. Chris Waddle, our summariser this afternoon, and you're expecting this to be a cagey affair.
Well, Brazil have qualified, they want to win the group, so they're going to play clean sheet, point takes them in the draw where you want to be. It's all about Portugal. Do they go for it, leave the bags open? And if Ivory Coast score a lot of goals, there could be problems, I think Portugal would love to nick a win, but they're not going to really go for it.
Carlos Queiroz has got them well organised, hasn't he? You were saying earlier on about the record that they have under him. He has been under a lot of pressure.
Well, the way they play, obviously, when you've got players like Ronaldo on your team, they've got a lot of talent and they can score goals. Quite strong at the back with Carvalho in the middle, and they're well organised. They play attractive football. I probably think Portugal's lack, if they had a good centre forward over the years, I think they would have won a major tournament. But they've always lacked a good number 9.
Although they did get the 7 against North Korea. Do you think that Danny is a player that Alan has spoken a lot about? Is he a man who could be a good number 9 for them?
No. I think he's a decent player. Like, they all are technically very good. But you know that predator you want in the box? We talk about it, like Defoe did for England the other day, like Gary Lineker was. Portugal's never had anybody like that. They've tried many players over the years to get this guy. It would be on the end of all the wonderful football you watch on the eye. Somebody at the end to just put the ball in it. They've never found anybody.
And this Brazilian side are tournament favourites, I think, at the moment, according to the bookies. What they seem to do, and seem to have done in their past 2 games, go ahead, get a 2-0 or 3-0 lead, but they do allow the opposition back into the game.
Well, they've been caught out sometimes. If you watch the way Brazil play, they'll play 3 up front, but they tuck in the 2 wide men go inside, which allows room for the full-backs to be the wingers. And they go inside, they drag people inside, and that's where they get the ball out wide to Maicon, and on the other side today, they'll get Bastos. And they're basically the width of this team. They'll have 2 sitting in front of 2 centre-halves, very cagey over the plate. They don't want to come out, but occasionally they do get caught on the break. But they love to play counter-attacking football.
Are you convinced about Julio Baptista in for Kaká?
What an ideal replacement. Very similar ability, but everybody knows that he scored a hat-trick or 4 goals at Anfield once, didn't he, for Arsenal. He's never took off his career. He's gone to Roma. It's never happened for him, really. I think it's a surprise choice today going in there.
And with no Alano, we're expecting Dani Alves to play ahead of Mike Cos. So they've kind of got 2 right-backs, albeit both very attacking right-backs going down the right wing.
Well, Dani Alves doesn't get an automatic shirt because he takes risks. He doesn't play to the system. He plays his own game at times. He loses the ball in silly positions, and that's why Dunga, for me, doesn't really like picking him.
Dunga has been out in the bench here at Durban for about the last 5 or 6 minutes with all the cameras trained on him. He's been stood there. His team and the Portuguese team have been stood in the tunnel for now 3 or 4 minutes. They're just being led out here at Durban whilst they make their way into position for the anthems. I can tell you that Novak Djokovic has gone through in straight sets at Wimbledon. The number 3 seed beat Albert Montanes of Spain. If you want Wimbledon coverage, then Sport Extra is the place for that. Portugal against Brazil here in Durban on 5 Live. Ivory Coast against North Korea is on the 5 Live Sport website, bbc.co.uk/5 Live, as we bring you every game from every ground at the 2010 World Cup here in South Africa. Both teams are now lined up. The anthems are on their way. We start with the anthem of Portugal.
Using your vuvuzela at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of Portugal.
Brazil's team in their red tracksuit tops clap their own national anthem. And now the national anthem of Brazil. As the Brazilian national anthem came to an end, a massive Brazilian shirt has been unfurled on the far side of the stadium. It probably covers in length 20 rows of seats, width-wise maybe 10 or 11. It's either going to be passed around the stadium or very carefully wrapped up. It is Brazil against Portugal, the match of the group stage, we are hoping. Your commentary team on 5 Live this afternoon: Alan Green, Chris Waddle, and first of all, Conor McNamara.
Thank you very much, Mark. The last day of the group of death. And so far the Grim Reaper has steered clear of both Brazil and Portugal. There is a chance that Portugal could perish here this evening, but the Ivory Coast would need an improbable goal swing of at least 9 goals for that to happen. What is up for grabs is top spots in the group. But you know, even that could be a booby prize until we know how Spain get on later on. The reward for first place in this group is very much unclear. What a fantastic setting. This is what they had in mind when the World Cup was awarded to Africa. A brand spanking new stadium full of colour and noise. And away through the gap of the stand on the right hand side we can see the skyscrapers of downtown Durban. Wonderful blue sky overhead. And behind the stand to the left, the Indian Ocean and the cargo ships just bobbing up and down, making their way in and out of Africa's busiest port. Well, many of the grounds at this World Cup have had empty seats. Looking around this stadium, Chris Waddle, I can't see any here.
Well, I heard officially the opening game of the tournament, and this one was sold out. They were the only 2 who sold every ticket, and it's wonderful. How many yellow shirts, red shirts, and obviously it's quite a few English flags as usual in the stadium.
Well, Portugal may have won 7-0 last time out, but Carlos Queiroz makes 4 changes to that winning team. They line up with Eduardo in goal, a back 4 of Ricardo Costa at right back, Ricardo Carvalho of Chelsea alongside Bruno Alves in the centre, and Duda comes in at left back. We think they'll start with 4 in midfield: Raul Morelos, Thiago, Pepe of Real Madrid, and Fabio Contrao, with Cristiano Ronaldo getting forward in support of the striker Danny, who plays his club football in Russia with St. Petersburg. They paid £30 million for him back in the pre-recession days, and Portugal will hope that he can be the man who can finish off chances that their more creative players on the wings will perhaps present. The Brazilian team features 3 changes. All 3 are attacking midfielders. There's no Robinho today, no Kaká, and no Ilano, as the referee from Mexico gets us underway. And Brazil have possession. Their yellow jerseys, blue shorts and white socks. They will play from right to left as we look down here in Durban. And possession early on in the centre circle for the former Arsenal man, Gilberto Silva. The 3 players who come in: Julio Baptista, once of Arsenal, Nilmar and Dani Alves of Barcelona. Those 3 changes just prove the strength and depth that Brazil have, as possession still with the Brazilians. And Melo to Dani Alves on the right hand side, sends in a cross that was meant for Nilmar, and Portugal take no chances as it's headed out for the first corner of the game off Costa.
We expect the Brazil team is spot on basically, but We all thought Fabio Contrao would be playing on the left side of midfield. He's not. He's playing his normal left back. And Duda is playing left side. But Portugal 4-5-1. Just going to play counter-attack. Ronaldo left on his own. Danny on the right.
In terms of high-profile nations going head-to-head, this is the standout game of the group stages of this World Cup. It's the team ranked number 1 in the world against the team ranked number 3. And we prepare for this first quarter, which Dani Alves has come across to the left-hand side to take. It's a poor quarter, headed away by the first defender and out for a throw into Brazil.
Well, what a waste, isn't it? All the big boys are ready for a decent cross. It's early in the game, but it's all Brazil.
It is all Brazil. Mind you, Portugal are not used to losing. They've not lost in almost 2 years, and it is significant the last nation to beat them was Brazil. And what a scoreline as well, as Brazil won 6-2. This is Nilmar attacking down the left for the Brazilians, and he's won another corner, and Portugal have hardly had a touch in the opening minutes in Durban.
Well, it started very brave, Brazil, and I'm glad to see Nilmar on the team. I think he's a terrific player, got a lot of pace, causes defensive problems.
Nilmar, who scored against England not too long ago, has this corner kick again swung in by Dani Alves, and again very disappointing, cleared away by the defender at the front post. Brazil trying to knock it back out towards Dani Alves on the left hand side. He can't control it, and Portugal finally get a touch of the ball, and it's taken them over 2 minutes.
Well, Dani Alves is trying to put too much pace on the ball. He's trying to obviously guide it into it. Just put it in the area, let the boys go and attack it.
Neither of these nations have yet been beaten in 2010. This is 5 Live for the BBC. Friday afternoon, Portugal 0, Brazil 0, and a throw into Portugal and their right back Ricardo Costa. They really have changed all aspects of the team. Changes in defence, changes in midfield, changes up front from the side that beat North Korea by 7-0, and those 7 goals are what make it so difficult today for the Ivory Coast, who are taking on North Korea right now. First touch of the ball for Cristiano Ronaldo, and little twinkle toes on the left hand side. Step overs, even though no defender near him, and then a ball is given away in midfield by Contrao, who played fullback in the opening games, but midfield today, and Brazil will break, and this is Julio Baptista, and across to the right hand side, and Maicon will get a touch, and then Gilberto Silva onto Felipe Melo, and to the near side, the left for Brazil, and Michel Bastos, and Portugal bring everyone apart from Ronaldo back behind the ball. I did see one flag in the crowd before kick-off being held by a Brazilian, and it said there is only one Ronaldo, and it had a picture of, shall we say, the larger version. Brazil have possession, but Julio Baptista will give it away midway inside the Portuguese half, and Dani tries a nutmeg near the halfway line. He's been fouled. Free kick to the Portuguese. Chris Waddle.
Bastos gets nutmeg ball through his legs and takes the guy down. Referee just had a quiet word from a distance for him, very deliberate. But it's interesting to see how Portugal, Ronaldo will not want to stay up front. He's attracted to the football. Wherever it is, he wants to get involved, and as I said before the programme, that's Portugal's problem. They don't have an out-and-out striker.
Cristiano Ronaldo scored the last of the 7 goals against North Korea. It was his first goal in international football in almost a year and a half. He didn't score at all in qualifying to get Portugal here, and another free kick given away. And that was interesting. Now, Luis Fabiano has come over and he's leaned over Pepe, and he's definitely said something, and it wasn't, "I hope you're all right."
Well, he's not happy. But let's be honest, he's made a meal of it, hasn't he, Pepe? Let's be honest. He's rolling around the floor. Yes, he's caught him slightly, but
Portugal take the free kick quickly, and it's towards the edge of the penalty area. Brazil are able to deal with it, however, and the ball headed clear by Dani Alves and picked up by Ronaldo. A first-time back heel from him to Fabio Contrao. A few olays from the crowd for Ronaldo, but Portugal aren't going to hold on to the ball here, and Dani Alves might be able to break down the right-hand side. Back covers Contrao, and Portugal regain possession, and it's down the left-hand side looking for Duda. Poor ball, though. He won't control it, and the ball goes out of play. Still Portugal 0, Brazil 0.
You know, I think Portugal have got too many players behind the ball. They're getting each other's way. There's nobody wanting to run forward. They've got a line of 5. The amount of bodies they've got in midfield. And Brazil only play normally 2 in there, so I don't know why they've got so many players in there. They need a bit of width, a bit of space.
Yeah, the way this group has shaped up, a draw is enough for Portugal. Here's a chance, but Dani Alves goes for goal 10 yards outside the penalty area, and it's wide to the left-hand side. First attempted goal of the game, and it's Brazil's Dani Alves.
Well, he had to shoot, got the space, didn't he? That's what they do well, Brazil. The 2 wide men, whoever's playing left and right, just tuck in behind, come in. The fullback doesn't want to go in there. They just get in behind the midfield and they pick that ball up in that little pocket, and he did the right thing. Unfortunately for Brazil, he couldn't hit the target.
Still 0-0 here in Durban, also 0-0 between North Korea and Ivory Coast. Don't forget, coming up later on today, the last games in Group H, 7:30 kickoffs UK time. Chile take on Spain, and Switzerland play Honduras. And Chile, Spain and Switzerland all in with a chance in that group of reaching the second round. Brazil have possession midway inside their half, and it's passed to the tall defender Juan, who plays in Italy with Roma. Had a very good season as they put pressure on Inter Milan all the way towards the title. And now in midfield with Felipe Melo, who plays with Juventus. Poor season for them, and maybe indicative of why the Italians struggled with so many Juventus players in their squad. I'm looking around the stadium, Chris. I see England flags, I see Scotland flags, most of the nations of the World Cup represented. Curiously, I don't see an Italian flag or a French flag anywhere. I think they've packed them up and gone home. It's Portugal 0, Brazil 0, and we've played almost 7 minutes here in Durban on a very pleasant afternoon close to the Indian Ocean, and Felipe Melo on the halfway line. Ronaldo is standing off him, allowing Brazil to have the ball. There is no urgency about Portugal, who, remember, would need a 10-goal swing to go against them, maybe a 9-goal swing if Ivory Coast were to score 6 goals more than Portugal's. Clear as that.
I was very patient by Brazil then. They'll rush their top of the group. They're quite happy. I'm just a little bit surprised how Portugal have got so many players behind the ball. I think they've come and thought, we'll accept second place. They just don't want to leak a goal. They don't want to get beat.
Gilberto Silva passes to Maicon on the right wing, and then Dani Alves with a little flick encourages Maicon to run to the byline, and it's a well-timed challenge off Contrao to put the ball out, and Brazil will remain on the attack. Other flags are here on the stage. There's 2 from Coventry. There's an England flag that says "Dare to Dream" as Brazil take the throw in. Dani Alves gives it back to Maicon, the 2 rivals for the fullback position, with Alves playing in midfield today. And this is Felipe Melo midway inside the Portuguese half, and they're just holding on to the ball here. Back to big Lucio, the captain, who's been urged to run forward here through the middle of 3 Portuguese defenders. Dani Alves' pass is asking an awful lot of Maicon, and it should be cleared away here by Contrao, but only out for a Brazil throw.
All right, they're asking for problems for me, Portugal. Yes, it's all right getting a lot of players behind the ball, but they're just encouraging Brazil to come on. They've only got Ronaldo up front, and he's surrounded by 3, so he can't get out. They've got to be a bit more adventurous, Portugal, or they're going to lose this game. Portugal
have hardly touched the ball inside the Brazil half, and another throw in here is the attempted cross is deflected away off Thiago, and it's a throw in from Maicon, who's come down the right wing here for Brazil, gives it in towards Julio Baptista, who's got a large frame, well able to shield the ball. Passes back to Gilberto Silva, and now Melo will chip into the penalty area. Nilmar is going to attack this under pressure. Costa, and the ball spins up into the air, and the goalkeeper Eduardo makes the save.
Well, another attack, another good ball in. Nilmar coming to the far post. But it's all Brazil at the moment. Portugal's got to have a little bit more ambition.
Here is Cristiano Ronaldo, and he turns away from 2 players. He went for goal. He was closer to the halfway line than he was to Julio Cesar's goalpost, and suffice to say the shot was blocked down immediately.
Well, he's capable of a lot of things, Ronaldo, isn't he? He's not afraid to shoot. That was all of 40 yards. Well blocked down, but it's to say too many players behind the ball. Nobody wants to run forward. Ronaldo's just playing on his own.
This is 5 Live from the BBC. World Cup 2010. Portugal 0, Brazil 0. Fantastic atmosphere here in Durban. Both teams so well supported. There are thousands and thousands of Portuguese. It's actually quite difficult to judge how many Brazilians in this stadium, because all the South Africans, when they come to the game, they wear their yellow Bafana jerseys, so they all look like Brazilian fans. But scanning around the stadium, there's only marginally more yellow jerseys than red ones, and you got to think there's probably more Portuguese fans here than Brazilians.
But I think South African fans said, didn't they, when they got knocked out, they're going to adopt Brazil as their side, and that's probably why they've obviously got a lot of support here today.
Yeah. This probably, Chris, Brazil's first big test. We're going to see what they're made of today.
Well, you'd expect. I'm slightly disappointed with Portugal at the moment, but
let's see what they can muster here as Duda Poor. He was in a crossing position left-hand side, and he wasn't able to deliver anything into the box. And it's Dani Alves who comes away with possession for Brazil, with Maicon outside him. Always up in attack. the fullback. A good ball into the centre here to Julio Baptista, up towards Luis Fabiano, the number 9. Turns on the edge of the penalty area. Back out to Maicon on the right. The cross is for Nilmar. Did he keep it in play? He didn't. It's a goal kick to Portugal.
Actually, the last game I did here, I've only did one obviously, it was Spain-Switzerland. And it's very much set out the same way, where Spain have all the ball. And just dominate possession, and they try to play on the counter-attack Switzerland, and they got the result that day.
Well, if Ivory Coast are going to put any pressure on Portugal today, they need to score a lot of goals against North Korea. Let's get an update from Nel Spray. Here's Mike Sewell.
We've had just over 11 minutes played, and it's still Ivory Coast 0, North Korea 0, but Ivory Coast have had the ball in the net, a header from Didier Drogba just a moment ago, which was ruled offside, and Ivory Coast are in control of this game early on, 0-0.
Thank you, Mike. It sounds completely impractical that Ivory Coast will get the goals they need, Chris, but then this North Korea defence looked a shambles against Portugal.
Well, I think they're playing fire play today, aren't they? You know, they haven't had a good tournament. They come out with a lot of credit against Brazil when they were lost, but against Portugal they absolutely got hammered, didn't they? And they need to put a bit of a performance on it. If they can get a point, brings a little bit of respect back to them.
12 minutes played here in Durban, a header there from Luis Fabiano, who scored twice against the Ivorians last time out for Brazil. The 3 changes, Chris. Obviously Kaká suspended. Ilano, they're probably nursing him because he's picked up a knock. Given that those 2 weren't able to play, are you surprised he's left Robinho with a bit of flair on the bench?
Well, I thought he would have put Robinho, personally, I thought he would have put him in Baptista's role, just off the strike out, let him go loose, and I enjoyed the game. But there's obviously a method, and why, as he's saving him for the next round.
Of which Brazil are already sure of their progression. Portugal almost there. And really what they're battling for here is to see who finishes first and who finishes second. And ideally what you want to do is avoid Spain in the next round, but we don't know whether it'll be first or second place that will get to play against Spain. We'll find out tonight in full commentary here on 5 Live. Lucio makes an interception midway inside the Brazil half. Gives it to Dani Alves, who's seen an awful lot of the ball. In the absence of the flair players, it's interesting that Alves is the man who's almost operating as playmaker for Brazil. Fabiano does a little drag back close to the centre circle, keeps the ball moving, and this is Gilberto Silva to the near side to Michel Bastos. Most of the Brazil attacking has been down the right flank so far. Julio Baptista to Dani Alves, centre of the park. Just to his right, 5 yards, is Felipe Melo. Short, consistent passing from Brazil. All the pitch in shade here under the arc of the amazing arc over this pitch. Long ball towards the edge of the penalty area. Nilmar was forward, no touch for him, and Portugal must try to build from deep, but they're finding it so difficult to hold on to the ball. 0-0 here in Durban. Oh, Pepe's taken his eye off it. Dani Alves steals possession for Brazil. Thought about a shot for just a moment. Still there outside the penalty area. Plays a 1-2 with Fabiano. And eventually the Portuguese defence gets a leg in. And they clear it towards Dani on the near side.
Yeah, again, good possession. If you want to get round the back of the side, you've got to move the ball a lot quicker. For me, Brazil having 4 or 5 too many passes. They've got to go quicker.
0-0 between Portugal and Brazil, but there's a goal in Nel Spray. This is North Korea, Ivory Coast. Mike Sewell.
14 minutes played, and no surprises. Ivory Coast lead by a goal to 0. Yaya Touré with a low right-footed shot away from Lee after lots of pressure from Ivory Coast. They're 1-0 up.
And here in Durban, Portugal on the attack, and a first touch under pressure for the Brazilian goalkeeper Julio Cesar. He punched on the edge of his 6-yard box. It was more promising from Portugal, but still Brazil were able to deal with it very easily. And now there's been a challenge close to the halfway line, and we're going to see the first yellow card of the game, and it's shown to the striker Luis Fabiano. 2 goals in his 2 games so far. He's come in on Pepe, not for the first time in the game, and that's a yellow card.
I've got to say, Pepe's made such a meal of it. He's not caught him. He's actually, as he's followed through, he's just basically may have opened his groin up slightly, but it was not a late tackle at all. He's not touched him with his feet, and he's made a meal of it, and he's actually got him booked. They had words early on, we saw that. This time he stayed down. It's marvellous. He's got it walked away. Now he's seen the yellow card come out. There you go.
And just a break in play while we wait for the game to resume. North Korea 0, Ivory Coast 1. They only need another 8.
Well, you never know, do you?
Well, Yaya Touré's goal, and they've got Didier Drogba in the team as well. We'll keep you right up to date with all the events in that fantastic stadium in Nelsbury. If you've seen the pictures of the different grounds, that's the one with the stanchions holding up the roof are all designed to look like giraffes. Cristiano Ronaldo can't help a bit of showboating. He's waiting to take a throw in, and he balances the ball like a seal up on the top of his head. In the end, it's Ricardo Costa who takes the throw towards Ronaldo, doesn't control the ball. Julio Baptista for Brazil, and Gilberto Silva encourages Dani Alves to move forward. Still no goals here between the two teams on top of the group. The cross in towards Luis Fabiano is headed away by Ricardo Carvalho, and Brazil get it to Duda in midfield. And now forward again comes Carvalho, and then a poor pass behind Cristiano Ronaldo, and it's intercepted by Lucio. You know, all the talk in Spain this season about Lionel Messi and the way he's played and all the goals he's scored, you almost didn't get many mentions for the fact that Ronaldo scored 33 goals in 35 games for Real Madrid. Dani Alves goals for goal for Brazil, bounces once and safely into the arms of the goalkeeper Eduardo. No doubt about it, Brazil on top.
Yeah, they're on top, but they're not going anywhere. They're not getting round the back. They haven't got anybody who can beat anybody, which is surprising in a Brazilian side. They're expecting a bit of flair, and there's nobody at this moment can go past anybody, and it's very easy for Portugal to defend and play on the counter-attack. They've got to move the ball quicker. They've got to be a little bit more ambitious, and you want to see somebody run with it in a Brazilian shirt.
If you're joining our coverage late here on 5 Live, no goals between Portugal and Brazil. The Ivory Coast are leading North Korea by 1-0, and Brazil starting this game without Kaká, who's suspended, without Ilano, and without Robinho as well, who's on the bench. Now here come Portugal on the attack, and a bit of space on the left-hand side. It's going to be crossed towards the D on the edge of the area. Shot comes flashing in from Thiago, the former Chelsea man. Doesn't score many goals, and that volley was off target. But Brazil, probably for the first time, looked a little bit stretched.
Yeah, you've got to say, Fabio Quanto, who's playing left back, gets forward ever so well, and he's had a great tournament so far. I've been very impressed with him as a full-back, and it was a great ball. He spotted it, he did put his hand up for it, couldn't control the volley on target.
Thiago, who, well, he's on Juventus's books, but he's been playing recently on loan with Atletico Madrid, familiar to Chelsea fans from his time at Stamford Bridge. And you just wonder how many chances Portugal are going to get in this game, and they'll need to test the goalkeeper with as many of them as they can. Maicon's crossfield ball controlled on the left instep by Michel Bastos, who flicks it back infield to Gilberto Silva. In comes the attempt at closing him down by Duda, but it's not worked out very well. And now Dani Alves will chip a ball into the penalty area, but the goalkeeper Eduardo had anticipated that, and he sprints out to gather.
Well, I can see Dani Alves is not a regular in the side because he does wander, he doesn't keep the balance, but the one thing I'll say for him is he's the only one who's looking to play the ball forward. When people move, he's actually trying to create. He's the only person in the Brazilian shirt who is.
The big criticism back home from Brazilian press and fans is that where is the flair? But it often does happen in a tournament after they haven't won the World Cup. They sort of try to go back to basics, and I think appointing Dunga as the coach, and you think back to the sort of player that he was, very much shows where the priority lies nowadays for Brazilian football. There was an interesting quote from Dunga, by the way, when the draw was made and he knew Brazil were going to face Portugal, and he said, given all the Brazilian-born players in the Portuguese team, it'll be like Brazil against Brazil B team.
They've cancelled each other out at the minute. I'll probably say the only flair in this Brazilian squad's in Dunga's trousers.
Dunga, by the way, is the Portuguese for dopey, and he's been given his nickname in honour of one of the 7 dwarfs. But he doesn't quite match Joachim Löw in the style stakes, does he, Dunga? Possession with Brazil, though. On top here, though, it is 0-0 in Durban, and Melo's given it away in midfield, and Cristiano Ronaldo tries to burst clear, but he's beaten to it by Lucio. And Ronaldo very much being played as the lone striker, and Dani, who we thought might lend him a little bit more support, dropping deep into midfield more often than not.
They've just got a lane of 5, haven't they? The back 4 very close together all the time. Look, they're nearly holding hands. They're just not going to let this Brazilian team. They'll accept the shots from 25-30 yards, but they're not going to let them get round the back.
Almost 20 minutes played. 1 yellow card for Luis Fabiano. And very few shots at goal as Dani Alves tries to play a 1-2 here on the edge of the penalty area, but the return from Luis Fabiano is too far in front of him and impossible to control. Luis Fabiano does enjoy playing against Portugal. He's got a hat-trick against them in the past. We have no goals here, but surprise, surprise, plenty in Nelspruit. Back to Mike Sewell.
A second for Ivory Coast. Brilliant play by Didier Drogba. Control inside the area. A rifle shot which hit the underside of the bar and bounced out very nicely for Romaric, who headed in the rebound. Ivory Coast lead 2-0 here.
Well, they're keeping it interesting, and I'm sure the news of those goals will be passed on to the Portuguese bench. And Chris Waddle's been saying how defensive Portugal have been playing. They might have to up their game as this afternoon continues. Portugal just on the attack for the moment. I want to give you just a reminder of the permutations now that Ivory Coast are beginning to bang in the goals. The referee has stopped play here to have a word with Felipe Melo. So here is the permutations. Ivory Coast need a 10-goal swing to guarantee their place in the second round. 9 goals would do between the two games, but only if they score 6 more than Portugal. So I'm going to give you an example. If Ivory Coast wins 6-0 in Nelspruit, remember 2-0 up already, and Brazil were to win 4-0 here, then Ivory Coast would go through. Or if Ivory Coast wins 7-0 and Brazil win 2-0, that would be enough because of the fact that Ivory Coast would have scored 7 goals, and that is more than 6 more than what Portugal. So it's as easy as that, Chris Waddle.
I think Ivory Coast will score 6 or 7 goals.
And that would make things very interesting. But mind you, will Brazil score the 3 or 4 that they'd need to help them out?
I can't see it. Portugal are not going to allow them any attack. They might win 1-0, but there's not going to be a lot of goals in this game.
Julio Baptista to Dani Alves, does a little spin up towards Luis Fabiano, and he's not had possession inside the penalty area yet. He won't get it now either. Tackled by Contrao, ball goes out of play, throw into Brazil, attacking position down the right.
Well, it's just all the feet, and there's nobody getting around the back. There's nobody can beat a man. Nilmar's playing quite high. He cannot use his pace. There's no way to run, and Brazil are just playing so slow.
Maicon to Julio Baptista to Dani Alves, who's had more touches of the ball than anyone else in the opening quarter of this game. He'll pass it to his right to Gilberto Silva, and it's a patient build-up from Brazil once more, and they turn and give it back to Felipe Melo, and we're midway through the first half in Durban. Alan Green through to half-time.
Well, given its billing, it's a yawn. Absolute yawn. Almost nodded off about 10 minutes ago. Here's Lucio, the Brazilian captain, shooting from 40 yards. Waste of time that. Hits Pepe, rebounds to those in yellow. And it's fed forward. And a good turn by Nilmar. Nilmar running towards the penalty here. Finds Fabiano, his shot deflects, and that's behind for a corner. Off for Alves.
Well, Alves is going to take his corner. His first 2 have been woeful. And what they've done, Portugal, is they've said, you're not getting around the back. Simple as that. You can shoot from 30 yards as much as you want.
This time it's from the right, so perhaps it'll be better from Alves. Here he comes. It's a deep corner, looking for Lucio. Headed away, though, by the defence. Bumbling shot driven in by Bastos. Hits the defender, goes out of play for a throw-in. I'm not going to show any urgency in my voice, folks, until I sense there's a need for it. This is dull. Bastos with a throw-in. Back now to whoever it is, Melo. And now Lucio to Maicon on the far side of the field. You can tell why Maicon's in preferred to Alves. Alves has got no discipline. Alves cross from the right, deflects in the air off Contrao, and it should be knocked away to Duda. Duda has Ronaldo bringing up here. Oh. That's a deliberate handball now by Juan, and that's got to be a yellow card. It is a yellow card. He knew that Ronaldo was through.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, no. Yellow card to Duda, because Duda obviously indicated it should be a yellow card. Like about 60,000 others, referee.
Well, it's a clear yellow card. It's no way it's a red. Ronaldo's got
it's not a red.
It's another 45 yards before you get there. Somebody would have caught him up there. But a yellow's a good decision. And I don't know why the Portuguese players are going to send him off. Cannot believe it.
Well, given the pace of Ronaldo, they're probably saying, oh, he could have been the last man. Anyway, unquestionably a yellow card for Juan. Now look at this. This is over 40 yards from goal. Ronaldo appears as if he's going to shoot at goal.
Oh, he will.
This is going to be some goal. If it's a goal. 25 minutes played. Ivory Coast 2-0 up. Ronaldo's free kick. Dinked in wretchedly. What a waste of space.
Well, the crowd don't appreciate it now. That I suppose they're the Brazilians who have booed them. But that's all they've got. That's all they've got. They haven't attacked with any purpose. Set piece from 45 yards. That's it.
Totally unadventurous, Portugal. And you know, if Ivory Coast were to knock in another couple of goals before half time, the pressure would mount. Hey? Can you imagine Carlos Queiroz saying, oh, by the way, Ivory Coast are 4-0 up. Panic, panic. Here's Alves at the far side for Brazil. And now Gilberto Silva to Baptista. Melo, left of the centre circle, onto the full-back Bastos. Bastos into Gilberto Silva. Nobody's near him, so he's got plenty of time. Good ball forward now to Baptista. Baptista ran straight into the defender, and it's brought away by Thiago for Portugal. That's a good ball to the right side, and Duda. An instant control by Duda. Then he's brought down by Nilmar. It's a free kick. You won't be surprised if there's a little bit of tetchiness between these two teams. There's fantastic rivalry.
Oh, yeah, big rivalry, but unfortunately you needed a game today which one of them needed a good result, a win. Unfortunately, they know the story, they know the script, they know what they've got to do, and that is why it's been very, very dull.
And it's also because neither of them know where Spain are going to finish.
Exactly.
So neither of them want to play Spain. Remember, these two and Spain, according to the FIFA rankings, are the best 3 teams in the world. So naturally you want a World Cup draw in which inevitably 2 of them are going to meet in the last 16. That's what's going to happen. I mean, they couldn't fix the draw, but it's just an unfortunate consequence of what happened in December. But the winners of this group, I still feel, have the easier half of the draw.
Oh, most definitely. But Brazil's in the driving seat. It stays like this, they've won the group. Brazil 0, Portugal 0. The Vuvuzelas, I think, are being signed in because of relative boredom around the stadium in Durban. Here's Melo onto the left side, and Bastos, Carlos Queiroz saying to his players, press them, press them. Here's Juan, not under any pressure at all. To Lucio, the Brazilian captain on the far side. That's the Brazil right. This is 5 Live in the BBC. Ivory Coast lead North Korea 2-0. It's 0-0 in Durban here between Brazil and Portugal, and it's a pretty tepid affair. Contral, who's looked a really good left back in the tournament, and that's been a problem position for Portugal. I think they found the answer in Contral, the Benfica fullback. On it goes to Ronaldo on the far side of the field, the captain of Portugal. Ronaldo beats 2 challenges, still keeps the ball, has beaten 3 players, 35 yards out, doesn't find a colleague with a pass, disappointing, and it's through with Alves. Back to Maicon. Maicon to Alves again. Maicon once more. The action just half a dozen yards in front of the Brazilian penalty area. Gilberto Silva never looks in any hurry. And now on from Melo to Baptista, who's still inside his own half. Now to Bastos, dinked it through the legs of Duda. Duda got back in there, wins the ball back, and it's infield with Pepe. Pepe onto Ronaldo, and then Ronaldo was far too casual with a flick. He just should have concentrated on passing to a player in red. And Portugal are lucky. The ball breaks upfield to Danny, then Danny loses it too easily to Maicon. Scrappy, that's the way the game's been. Maicon running forward. Alves to his right, played to Alves. Alves' cross was telegraphed, easily blocked by the defender behind for a corner. Well, I've got to say, it's not living up to this billing, is it? It's absolutely so slow, no ambition. Both teams quite happy with the result. This is going to finish 0-0.
The electronic scoreboard that we have shows that Fabiano's got a yellow card. I didn't see that anyway. The corner's taken weakly by Alves. Don't let him hit them if he hits them that poorly. And then there's a free kick awarded against Brazil inside the centre circle. So I better mark the YC beside Luis Fabiano. By the way, happy anniversary. Did you ring your wife?
Yes, I did.
Did you send her a card?
Reverse the charges.
Did you address the card correctly?
I did this time.
Tell the audience what you did once.
1 year I wrote best wishes Chris Waddle.
Oh, so full of tenderness and loving care towards your wife. Anyway, Brazil on the attack here. It's with Alves just right at the penalty area, and he digs it into the far post. Just for Nilmar. Nilmar's shot, I think, deflected by the goalkeeper under the crossbar and cleared upfield. The nearest we've come to a goal.
Well, should have scored. Simple as that. Ricardo Costa at the far post, fell asleep. Just balls through. He's just got to hit it low. It's in. He's hit it high. It's a good save.
It's 3 against 3 here for Portugal. Here's an opportunity. Ball played forward to Danny inside the penalty area. Bow, that's a penalty, is it?
It's a yellow card.
It's a dive.
It's got to be a yellow card. That's a terrible dive.
Well, it's a dive, and it's a yellow card for Thiago.
What was he thinking? What was Danny thinking? Pulling the ball back. He rolls him in. Just fired across the goal. Ronaldo
was waiting for it.
Just put it across the goal. Thiago's dive is absolutely shocking.
It's disgraceful, actually. He wasn't even touched. Disgraceful. Anyway, best wishes, Chris Waddle. If I ever make an error like that on my wedding anniversary day, I'm gone. I am gone.
Don't keep talking about it. She'll make you listening.
Brazil 0, Portugal 0. I couldn't let the 5 Live listeners go without hearing that story. It's a classic.
It was just habit. Force of habit.
I mean, if it was best wishes, Chris, you might even have got away with it.
Might have.
But best wishes, Chris Waddle. By the way, I didn't get worked up about that shot from Maicon, but it was never a serious effort at goal. Wide and high. 14 minutes to half-time. It's been a disappointing game. 0-0. Portugal don't seem to want to try. They're obviously wholly confident that Ivory Coast, who lead 2-0 against North Korea, aren't going to get a bag full of goals to put them under pressure. And it looks as if it's going to be Brazil top, Portugal second in this group, and then it's up to Spain. Spain-Chile tonight. Don't miss it. Critical match. 7:30 kickoff. Can't believe that Spain are actually still in danger of not qualifying.
Yeah. Chile's played very well in this tournament.
They have. Good side. In fact, all the South American sides have played well. I think Uruguay are
you'd probably say the least adventurous team's Brazil out of South America, which you never normally would ever say that.
Wretched pass by Fabiano. Or no, by Baptista. Not forward to Ronaldo. Ronaldo's offside. Doesn't know it yet. He skipped past the goalkeeper, but he is offside, and it's a free kick. He just made the move too early.
Yeah, just offside. Good turn of pace. That's all they've got. They've got that little threat in the counter-attack, Portugal. It's obviously their game plan.
I think we're seeing, by the way, why Alves and Baptista aren't remotely first choices for Dunga. Not good enough. Though I think Nilmar's a really good player.
He is a good player. He just, unfortunately by him today, Portugal's defending very deep. He can't use that pace. He's got to get in behind.
Here's Melo to Gilberto Silva for Brazil. Almost on the halfway line in the centre circle. And then he chips it towards the right, towards Maicon. Control off his right thigh. 12 minutes to go to half-time. Brazil 0, Portugal 0 on 5 Live. Gilberto Silva onto Melo, just ahead of the centre circle. It's almost at walking pace. Melo to the right and Maicon. Alves is further down that right touchline, and it goes to Alves, the Barcelona fullback, back to Maicon. And we still haven't made any significant progress inside the Portuguese half. Gilberto Silva back now, and it's going to be taken forward by Melo. That's a better ball. Glorious ball to Maicon. Down the right side. Instant control from the fullback. Crossed into the penalty. Out comes the goalkeeper. Eduardo pushes the ball away and then gathers it and then throws it out to the near side to Danny. Danny still inside the Portuguese half. To Ronaldo on the halfway line. 0-0 here in this wonderful stadium in Durban. Danny again running towards the left side. And leaving it, Paduda onto Morales, and now Contrao, the left full-back in an advanced position into Morales. Morales declines to cross. Instead it's back to Pepe. Pepe's under pressure and loses it. And Brazil take it up, and they're on the counter-attack, and then there's a foul by Pepe, and it's going to be...
There we go, get him booked.
Both teams are guilty of this.
Yeah, it's surrounding
trying
the
to tell the referee what to do.
Let him do his job.
Referee, by the way, is from Mexico. Ochundia Benito, as he prefers his wife to call him when she's sending him an anniversary card. To Benito, all my love.
Best wishes are one what works.
Listen, it's the only talking point of the game so far, so don't waste it. I might have been milking into the second half. Portugal have the ball, and now Carvalho furious at Nilmar for going down too easily. Morales shoots far too much of the ball. The Brazilian, it squirts upfield, bounces awkwardly for Fabiano, doesn't bring it under control, the Brazilian, and it's headed away, and it's bouncing towards the near touchline, and it's still in play. Bastos tips it forward, headed away by Portugal again. Here's Danny, and Danny running, running straight into a rather aggressive challenge by Mello, who belts it out of play.
He's like a rugby player at times. He toe punts everything. When he goes to challenge off 50-50s.
Remember this? Oh, dear. Pepe hits the ball out of play. Thiago lacks concentration. Didn't see the pass coming his way. It's tetchy. Just a little bit tetchy. And we've had 3 yellow cards so far. We haven't had a goal, and we've only had 1 decent effort. Nilmar on the far post. And I didn't see a replay. Did the goalkeeper get a touch under the crossbar?
Yeah, he did. It was a good save. Should have scored, though.
Here we go. It's with Juan, one of the centre-backs for Brazil. Now, on to the other one, Lucio on the far side, the captain. Lucio gingerly moves into the Portuguese half, and he picks up speed. And he's running crossfield, plays it to Nilmar. Great turn by Nilmar. Shot left footed on the volley, high and over.
Well, that's what he's capable of. On a great touch, flicking over the defender. Ricardo Costa diving in. He just couldn't control the volley on target. Great bit of skill.
Let's get an update from Mike Sewell on that Ivory Coast game.
It's still Ivory Coast leading North Korea by 2-0. Yaya Toure and Romaric with the goals in the first 20 minutes. But they dropped off the pace somewhat here, and North Korea have had more of the ball. Ivory Coast 2, North Korea 0.
Mike, has Robbie got any socks on? You're not hearing me. Anyway,
I'm sorry, we were cut off momentarily.
I'm just wondering if Robbie has any socks on today.
Yes, I have, and it's 25 degrees here, so my feet have gone from absolutely freezing to stinking.
You're not one to complain. You take over from me next. Anyway, it's still 0 here in Durban. The ball played to Nilmar down the left-hand side. Just about get to it. Flicked it deliberately off the defender. And another defender, Carvalho, comes across to help out. Puts it out of play for a throw-in. Clever from Nilmar.
That looks the best bit for Brazil. Keep trying to get that ball to Nilmar. He's the only one who looks as you got ability to go around somebody.
7 minutes left in the first half. Brazil 0, Portugal 0. And not really good enough for the setting. Wonderful stadium here in Durban. A venue for a semi-final. The other one is in Cape Town. Here's Gilberto Silva, edge of the centre circle. Drifts the pass towards the right side, and Contrao gets there before Alves, heads it away and then volleys it clear upfield. Ronaldo against 2 Brazilian defenders. Got to be careful, Lucio is. Heads it back to his goalkeeper, Julio Cesar.
Yeah, counter-attack was just a clearance. Ronaldo off. But good pace by Lucio. Good header back to the goalkeeper.
And here's Lucio again. Isn't he a brilliant defender? You look at Julio Cesar, Maicon on the right, and Lucio. I think those 3 would get in the World 11. Now it's driven away to the far side towards Maicon. Maicon controls it close to the corner flag. Deep cross in towards Fabiano, heads it down and wide.
Got to say, when they do put the ball in the box, Maicon did well to dig a cross out in that corner flag. He really shouldn't have got it in there. But what were the 2 centre-halves thinking about? The ball's in the air for a long, long time. It's not a pacey cross. Nobody's more than Carvalho's let Fabiano pull off the back of him, and he could easily have scored. Headed it into the ground, and it's gone wide.
Seeing the replay, it was closer than I thought. It was a good effort by Fabiano, and had it been 6 inches to the right, it would have been on target. 0-0. Mello holding the challenge. Well, the challenge came in from Pepe. Mello has reacted extravagantly, and Pepe's been booked.
That's the 5th yellow card and the slowest game I've seen in the tournament.
Let's see. We're seeing a replay now. Oh goodness, he did. Pepe dragged his studs down the back of the left leg of Mello. It was a terrible challenge, actually.
Yeah, down the back of the Achilles.
Somebody's going to get sent off here.
Yeah.
Kaka, remember, was sent off against the Ivory Coast. That's why he's not appearing today. He'll be all right for the last 16. It's chipped in towards Fabiano, edge of the Portuguese penalty. Lots of red shirts around him. On to Maicon. Maicon beaten by Morelos, and then actually fouling Morelos. He's a good left back. Free kick, Portugal.
Yeah, Contrao, he's very good. I've seen the game Portugal's played, and he's been excellent in every game. Gets forward well, uses the ball excellent. Benfica will do well to keep a hold of him.
Yeah, I was going to say, everything I read before the World Cup was saying, that's a problem position. They just can't find a fullback. Well,
he's been their best player. He's been their best player.
Eduardo, the goalkeeper for Portugal, to take the free kick, left of his own penalty area, inside the last 5 minutes of the first half here on 5 Live from Durban. Portugal 0, Brazil 0. It's headed towards Ronaldo, headed away by Lucio. Duda picked it up, then lost it. Baptista to Nilmar. Moving over the halfway line now, Nilmar. Flicking into Bastos, not a good pass. Intercepted easily. And here's Duda in to Thiago. And Thiago bundled over. And goodness, Melo wants a fight, doesn't he, all the time? Free kick awarded, taken quickly. Here's Ronaldo. Ronaldo shoots from 40 yards. Save for the goalkeeper.
Well, yeah, again, Alves just got back and put Ronaldo off slightly. But that's all they've got, really. A quick breakaway. He's playing on his own, Ronaldo. He's really isolated up front.
Here's Daniel Alves, ahead of the centre circle, slightly to the right, and plays it towards the far flank, towards Maicon. Into Alves again, centre of the Portuguese half now. Running forward, always looking for a foul tackle. Not given, and it's cleared by Portugal out of play towards the Portuguese bench, wide of where Carlos Queiroz is standing. Hands on hips. Dunga's out there as well. Hands on hips. I wonder if they know when the game's going to start. Properly, I mean. 3 minutes to half time. De La Fera in Durban. Bastos, the left back for Brazil. Throws to Nilmar. Nilmar beaten by the challenge of Thiago, and it's out of play, but a bit further upfield for Brazil. Bastos throw to Baptista. Into Gilberto Silva, and back to the aggressive Melo. Now Juan to Lucio. Most of the game is being played inside the Portuguese half, to be fair to Brazil. Portugal is just standing up there and saying, well, you find a way through us. We haven't done properly so far, and not then either. Oh, goodness gracious. What a challenge that was by Melo, and that's a yellow card, and it's long overdue.
Yeah, look, all everybody off the bench and every Portugal. You know, look, yeah, he's blocked them off, and it's a very aggressive challenge. He's got his yellow card, but there's too many people getting. I think both teams are more interested in getting people sent off and booked than play football.
Well, we've had 6 yellow cards so far.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
But I mean, Melo made absolutely sure, I'm going to thunder into you, son, and you're going to feel it. Not for the first time in the game. 2 minutes to go to half time. Poor Mexican referee having to deal with this lot. And you'd have to bet somebody will be sent off. Yeah. If it carries on like this.
Yep.
Portuguese take the free kick. And that's Bruno Alves. Bruno Alves whips the pass upfield to Thiago. Back now to Ricardo Costa. What are you pointing out? We're going to have a change. A sub for Brazil. Joshua coming on. I don't quite know why that is. It could be, to take Melo off. Because Melo, I'm not sure if he's got a bad temperament, but he's been looking for trouble for the last 10 or 15 minutes. Anywhere, Brazilian change imminent. Here's Bastos now, the left back. Low cross into the penalty area, easily knocked out of play.
I just wonder if he's feeling that challenge on the back of his Achilles.
Yeah, Melo's off.
Yeah, I think he's feeling that Achilles.
Well, he tried to get retribution, didn't he?
Yes.
So he's off, and that's one less chance of a red card. Dunga shook his hand. So in contrast, I don't think there'll be any over-aggressive challenges from the substitute, Joshua, because he's diminutive.
Yeah.
I mean, he's about 4 foot nothing. Clattered upfield by Portugal. Am I exaggerating this? Is this a dull game?
Oh, I'm disappointed. But it's one of them games, Alan, where, Portugal take the draw, Brazil won the group. That's why I'm surprised so many people have got yellow cards.
Now, Contrao might be the latest to be booked for a tackle on Alves on the far side. Contrao's booked. So that makes it 7. Well, there you go. We're looking for the beautiful game today, and we've seen a lot of ugliness. Well, I mean, the yellow cards have been justified. The Brazil free kick chipped into the Portugal penalty area, headed away by Bruno Alves, who was furious at the lack of marking on Fabiano. Corner to Brazil. Inside stoppage time. Here comes the 4th official. 1 minute of torture to come. Think brightly, folks. It will get better in the second half. But it's still only 2-0 to Ivory Coast. There's no pressure on Portugal to change their attitude. Corner from the right. taken by Brazil, deep into the penalty, defended well, and then a shot driven in by Nilmar, beaten away again. Alves shoots, hits another defender. Now they can counter-attack here, Portugal. Danny up over the halfway line, Alves chasing after him. The pass goes to Ronaldo, he won't give it back. Ronaldo instead shoots ridiculously. A Sunday school goalkeeper would have covered that.
I don't see why. What's going through Cristiano Ronaldo's mind there? He's got Danny made a great run down the left. He's got Duda on the right. He could easily have played and kept the ball. Very ambitious effort.
We've had our minute of added time. Julio Cesar, when he takes this goal kick, presumably the referee will blow for the interval. Well, not quite. Play continues. Maicon into Gilberto Silva. The referee looks at his watch, and there is the half-time whistle. 0-0.
You probably thought Nilmar should have scored and Fabiano could have scored. Apart from that, you can only talk about the bookings, which has been far too many. 3 for Brazil and 4 for Portugal. Not aggressive, silly challenges, and we've seen one substitution. It's just been a dull game. People know what's going to happen. If it's a 0-0 draw, they both go through, and both teams very cautious.
Just goes to show, no matter the build-up, 2 quality teams doesn't mean good game of football. 0-0.
If they concentrated on the football rather than trying to get each other booked, we might have a game.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in this game, either over-aggressive challenges or play acting, and also players running up to the referee with these imaginary yellow cards, which Sepp Blatter promised some time ago would never happen again, would not be tolerated. And yet it goes on. I actually feel sorry for the referee.
So do I. I don't think you could fault the referee at all. Could you? I mean, Chris, it's been nasty.
It's a silly challenge. I know there's a lot of rivalry between the two. We know that. It is like a derby game, really. But we're expecting a lot of quality. The players on show. You look at the players who are all technically very good, most of them. And you're looking at a bit of flair, a bit of excitement. And they've just sort of cancelled each other out. And every time there's a loose ball or somebody looks like he's going to do something, they're quite happy to block them off or trip them up and take a yellow card.
I don't know if you spotted this. This sums up the half for me. There was, with about 10 minutes to go in the first half, there was a free kick down here. Thiago went down. He rolled and rolled and rolled. Danny took the free kick quickly, and as soon as he took the free kick and Thiago saw it had gone, he was up and he was fine. And that kind of sums it up, that half.
Well, it does, and really, I feel we're right. The referee's got a horrible game to referee. He's probably expecting end-to-end action, and he's ended up just getting his yellow card out every 5 minutes. And it's not what we came out to see, and it's not what all these people have paid money to see as well. They've paid a lot of money to watch this game, and they've got to be very disappointed.
Thanks very much, Mark. Yes, the first half of far more aggression than flair. 7 yellow cards. Portugal had just 36% of possession, and that was not helped by Cristiano Ronaldo giving the ball away very cheaply, time and again, by attempting these extremely long-range shots. Ronaldo wants to score against Brazil, doesn't he? He'll have a go from anywhere.
He likes to score against anybody, but he just times frustrate his teammates. I mean, he's very ambitious with them shots. We know he's capable of doing a lot of things, but he's tried some silly things today. I think he had a word with the referee at the start there, Connor, and I think he said, don't get your yellow card out as much, both teams. A lot of these players could miss games.
Well, we've had the 7 yellows. Ronaldo, the only player on the pitch who would miss the next game should he pick up a booking. Portugal come on the attack here, early stages of the second half, a ball into the penalty area, and Maicon is there to clear away for Brazil. A real up and under. Not quite what we think of when we think of Brazilian football, but an up and under right the way down the field, and picked up by Bruno Alves, the experienced Portuguese central defender. And then coming through midfield here is Thiago, and he was one of the players who picked up a yellow card in the first half. Might be a chance to come forward here, and a little bursting run by Danny, who is taken down on the edge of the penalty area. He wants a free kick. The referee said it was a fair challenge. Play continues, and Julio Baptiste for Brazil inside the centre circle. So the teams: Eduardo, the goalkeeper for Portugal, Ricardo Costa, Ricardo Carvalho, Bruno Alves and Fabio Contrao the back 4, Raul Morales, Thiago, Pepe and Duda in midfield, and Danny supporting Cristiano Ronaldo up front. The Brazilian side: Julio Cesar the keeper, Maicon, Lucio, Juan and Michel Bastos are the back 4, Gilberto Silva and now Josue, who came on as a substitute in the first half for Felipe Melo, Dani Alves has been the playmaker, if you like, which is strange as he normally plays right back. Julio Baptista hasn't done much. Nilmar cutting in from the left-hand side, trying to support Luis Fabiano, who's got the goal so far in this tournament for Brazil. But they've not had many chances, have they? Just one attempt on target. Nilmar's shot was pushed onto the crossbar. Portugal did not have a shot on target in the first half.
No, I think Portugal have obviously set the stall out to say, look, we'll take the chances in the second round. Yes, last 16. We know we'll finish second now. If we can nick the goal here, it'd be tremendous. But lack of ambition. They're just playing to get through, and I don't think they're worried who they get in the next round.
0-0 here between Portugal and Brazil, and a reminder if things stay as they are here, as Cristiano Ronaldo breaks into the penalty area, left-hand side for Portugal. Good tackle comes in from Lucio, and Lucio might have connected with Ronaldo just after he'd cleared the ball out, and he immediately apologises to the Real Madrid man. That was much better though from Portugal. It was direct football, but it got in around the back of the offside trap, and Ronaldo gets the corner for Portugal.
Tell you what, when you look at the replay, he should have shot.
Like Maicon in the first game,
he's
right?
gambled on the cross. If you aim for the goal, just bends it in, rolls it in an empty net.
The corner is going to be taken by Raul Morales from the left-hand side with the white boots. It hangs in the air, as does Bruno Alves, but it was a defender's header up high into the sky and held by the Braga goalkeeper Eduardo.
Got up very well, didn't he? Just couldn't get above the ball with his head, and he ended up head high in the air. Very easy for the goalkeeper.
Bruno Alves, who had the header there, it was his goal that sealed the 1-0 win in Lisbon against Bosnia in the playoffs. Portugal may be ranked third in the world, but they had to qualify via the playoffs. They beat Bosnia-Herzegovina over the two legs. Juan chips the ball forward for Brazil, and it's close to the halfway line now with Josue, and to his right hand side is Dani Alves, and Brazil creep into the Portuguese half. Big crowd here in Durban as the sky has turned from blue to a much darker shade here as darkness begins to descend here up against the Indian Ocean. Poor ball from Gilberto Silva, not controlled by Maicon, and it gives possession back to Portugal, and a good long throw by Duda. Ronaldo is onto this, left wing for Portugal. Two players arriving in the box. Ronaldo provides the cross. Juan with a diving header clears it away. Already, Chris, the second half's been better than the first.
Well, it was a great throw in, wasn't it? Great run by Ronaldo, and he did his step over against he's nobody in the box when he goes to cross it. There's nobody there.
Dani Alves to Luis Fabiano. Oh dear, the Brazil passing in the final third has been terrible, and that one's gone straight out for a throw into Portugal. 0-0 here on 5 Live, and almost 5 minutes played in the second half. Ivory Coast leading North Korea in the other game. They still need a swing of a further 7 goals to have any chance of getting through. And just a reminder that the winner of this group plays the team that finishes second in the Spain, Switzerland, Chile group. But of course we don't know who that will be until tonight's game. So it could be that the team who wins this game and who finishes top of the group, they could get Spain in the second round, or it could be the team that finishes second could get Spain. And you would imagine, despite how well Chile have played, you'd want to miss Spain if you could have at all going into the last 16. Possession with Bruno Alves at the back for Portugal, and he passes low along the ground to Fabio Contrao with the yellow boots. That's a nice 1-2 with Duda, but Fabio Contrao plays safety first, doesn't go over the halfway line, turns and rolls it back to Ricardo Carvalho, and they pass it around midfield, and Pepe to Thiago and to Ricardo Carvalho once more. The two former Chelsea teammates linking up in possession. Ricardo Carvalho has got the long sleeves in his red jersey. Most of his teammates have short sleeves. Here's Duda. He's also got the long sleeves. He doesn't have a good first touch. Maicon, and then with the help of Gilberto Silva, whip it away for Brazil.
It's not a good game on the eye, is it, Connor? It's just basically, it's like a training game. You know, when you set that team up and you say, I want to work on a system, and this is what it is. It's like a practice match.
Neither side want to lose. If it finishes like this, they both go through. And a free kick has now been given to Portugal, almost midway through the Brazilian half. Ronaldo immediately is going for the ball. I think he's been watching that advert of himself a little bit too much. He's setting himself up to shoot again.
Yeah, he will as well. But I think he had a word with the referee. You know, when he was talking to the referee, I'm sure he said, look, don't get the yellow card out as much as you are. I honestly think the referee's listened to him.
So Cristiano Ronaldo, the familiar pose, the exaggerated steps as he reverses back for the ball. Then the two hands hands dangle down by his sides, the legs apart. Here comes the run up, straight through, takes a deflection and over the crossbar. It wouldn't have troubled at all had it not deflected, and that was a little bit of a heart-stopping moment off Pepe, but it went over the crossbar.
I think it did. It hit Pepe, he's back-heeled it. It would have been close to the bottom corner, that, if he hadn't deflected it.
Yeah, having seen the replay, I mean, Pepe's deflection was on purpose. He was trying to redirect the angle that the ball was attacking the Brazilian goal. And it's one of the best chances the Portuguese have produced. But unfortunately, they've not produced much. 0-0 here on 5 Live. Don't forget, coming up later on tonight, Chile against Spain, 7:30 kickoff. And Switzerland play Honduras tonight. Those are the final games in Group H. And the countdown starts now towards the start of the second round here at World Cup 2010. And by tonight, half the teams will have been eliminated from the 32 that started this tournament earlier on in the month. Now, Dani Alves has given away possession. Fortunately for him, Maicon wins it back for Brazil. Gives it to Dani Alves, who loses it once more. Maicon wins it back again, and then his cross may have come off the arms of Morelos. Play on, says the referee. This is Duda on the left-hand side for Portugal, but a ball that's directed straight at Lucio, and the Brazilian captain will control, and he comes away out of defence with possession and passes to little Josue on his left-hand side to Michel Bastos, the left-back, who's hardly been used in it. They've got Bastos and Nilmar on the left. They've got Maicon and Alves on the right. It's always been Maicon and Alves for Brazil.
Down the right-hand side, but got to say, both teams have struggled in the final third. The quality of passing has been absolutely dreadful.
This one from Josue is behind Luis Fabiano, and it will be Contrao to come away with possession for Portugal. 0-0 here on 5 Live this Friday afternoon, and Carlos Queiroz, the Portuguese coach, is preparing a change, and he's going to bring on a player who's got a bit of flair about him, to say the least. And Shimao prepares to make his introduction, and the man he will replace is Duda. So it's definitely a more attacking change from the Portuguese point of view.
Well, it is, and we know Shimao, we've seen him around for a long time, and he does like to run with the ball, but I think he's struggled to get in this game because basically, the passing is dreadful.
Plenty of ability. Shimao now playing with Atletico Madrid. He was Portugal's top scorer in qualifying, but many people thinking that he might be just a little bit past his best now. As Shimao, I say top scorer, it was only 4 goals that he got, as Portugal very much spread the goals between them, with Ronaldo not scoring at all in the qualifiers. Brazil have possession, and Nilmar, whose name we've hardly mentioned in the second half, to Julio Baptista, who tries a shot, and it's deflected off the stomach of Pepe and kept in play by Michel Bastos on the far side, but his cross is poor, and Ricardo Costa will clear it high towards the halfway line. Ronaldo gets up, tries to control on his chest, it's taken away from him, and Brazil have possession back inside their own half. Lucio, the captain's armband on his left arm, the yellow boots, and he comes unopposed 10-15 yards into the Portuguese half. It's worked towards Julio Baptista. Low ball to Dani Alves, poor ball towards Luis Fabiano, and once again Brazil break down on the edge of the Portuguese penalty area. First touch for Shimao since coming on as a substitute. He's got Raul Morelos on his left-hand side, but very little ambition about Portugal here. Teammates ahead of him, he opts to turn and give it to the left-back Contrao, who himself always giving the ball away to Nilmar. This could be a chance now for Brazil, but Nilmar's control lets him down. Sums up the game, really. A lack of quality between two of the top 3 ranked nations in the world, and maybe steadying himself for a shot here is Michel Bastos, and surprise, way off target.
Well, I just can't believe what I'm seeing, mate. I've got to say, I was expecting, alright, if there's no goals, you're expecting high quality of technique and the way the ball moves around. Basics, A to B, 10-yard passes, 15-yard passes, nobody can control it, nobody can pass it. Shocking.
It's not that the defences are playing particularly well that it's 0-0. There's been a distinct lack of quality in the attacks, and Carlos Queiroz has achieved so many clean sheets since taking over. 18 clean sheets in his 23 games in charge. But Brazil have not given much bother to the Portuguese defender. If you missed our commentary in the first half, best chance of the game without doubt was Nilmar's effort, saved by Eduardo onto the crossbar. Luis Fabiano gets a touch on the halfway line for Brazil, and we've not yet reached the hour mark here in Durban. Josue to the former Arsenal man Gilberto Silva, to a former Arsenal teammate of his, Julio Baptista. And funny how many of these players in the Brazilian squad were at Premier League clubs and didn't quite make the grade and were let go. Header from Luis Fabiano. Eduardo does have to make a save. It'll count as a shot on target, but really it was no problem for the goalkeeper.
Very easy for the goalkeeper. The ball was always behind Fabiano. He did direct on the target. High, loopy header, very comfortable.
Just mentioning there the players who've been let go by English Premier League clubs in this Brazil squad. Gilberto Silva let go by Arsene Wenger, so too Baptista, who he didn't sign permanently. Gilberto, who's in the squad. The other Gilberto, he was at Tottenham for a while, barely played. Robinho and Elano, of course, let go by Manchester City. Here come Portugal down the right-hand side, and the cross straight at Juan. And a poor clearance for him, actually. There's very little pressure around him. He's put it out for a corner, 0-0.
No risk, just put his foot through it. It's gone out for a corner. Carvalho and Alves coming forward.
Well, not much evidence so far that Brazil want to keep up their 100% record in this tournament. They may well be settling for a draw, but let's see what Shimao can do now with this corner from the right hand side. A short run up, a disappointing cross, and Julio Baptista heads away at the front post. Now given away to Shimao on the right hand side, goes for goal straight at the keeper. Cesar needed 2 bites of the cherry, but he holds on to it. But Shimao at least having a little bit of impact on the right hand side.
Yeah, it was a decent effort. A lot of movement on the ball. Decent effort, easy for the goalkeeper, and they're going to bring on Pedro Mendes, Portugal.
Well, Brazil will go through top of the group if things stay as they are. Portugal will also go through, even if they were to lose here, unless Ivory Coast score an absolute hatful in the other game at Nelspruit. Let's get an update on that. Mike Sewell.
And of course, the likes of Yaya Toure plays for the European champions in club football. Well,
I'm not sure that Mike is able to hear us there. They're doing the commentary on our website. You can tune into that, www.bbc.co.uk/5live, and we'll bring you an update from Nelspruit later on. But for the moment, it remains North Korea 0, Ivory Coast 2, Romaric and Yaya Toure, the men who have scored the goal. 0-0 here in Durban. A game that was billed as being one of the glamour fixtures of the group stage, but maybe there was too much hope, Chris Waddle.
A lot of rivalry. I think it's a group stage. Just give the ball away. 5-yard pass again.
Here's Ronaldo over the halfway line, goes around Juan, who's on a yellow card, had to be careful. Ronaldo drifts wide to the right hand side. Lucio tries to put him under pressure. Oh, it's a mistake by Lucio. Portugal should have scored, but Morales wasn't able to finish. He was presented with a chance in the 6-yard box, and somehow he didn't score.
Well, it looked a certain goal. Great run by Ronaldo. Nice to see somebody actually want to take somebody on. And Lucio clears the ball across his box. And it's a great, brave save. The goalkeeper stayed down. He's looking for treatment. And Cesar, but if he lifts it a little bit more height on it, that could have been the opening goal. It's a great opportunity for them.
You don't get many chances against Brazil, and Raul Morales could well end up regretting that one. Best we've seen of Ronaldo, though.
Oh, yeah, that's what he's good at. That's what we come to see. Picking up, trying to take people on, shots. It's the first real good run he's had.
The goalkeeper, Julio Cesar, has needed some treatment after that. They've just lifted up his jersey. The physio are giving him a little bit of a rub on his back. And we can see evidence that he's already got very heavy strapping around his back. Julio Cesar, the Inter Milan keeper. They're probably worried that he's aggravated an injury that he's already been carrying. They've changed his jersey, by the way. That's interesting. We're just getting to see a replay of the chance. Dives down, saves the shot, and actually Raul Morales lands on top of Julio Cesar.
He actually stood on his back, didn't he, with his boot? So he's obviously aggravated. He saw the strap and he had on his back. There you are, he lands on his back, shods on him. So he'll be okay.
Julio Cesar conceded the fewest goals in Serie A this season. He won the Italian Goalkeeper of the Year award last year. He's an important part of Brazil's machine, particularly when they play as they do, concentrating more on defensive-minded options than attacking ones. They don't want to lose their goalkeeper. We still await the restart of play, which will be a corner to Portugal after that save, after Ronaldo's breaking run. And it wasn't Ronaldo who crossed the ball, it was Lucio's tackle which played the ball into the path of Raul Morales, scored in the playoffs against Bosnia, wasn't able to score here for Portugal. And just to remind everyone at home, should Portugal get the win here, they would top the group ahead of Brazil. Just a reminder, if you want to keep up with the action from Wimbledon, commentary available on our sister station, 5 Live Sports Extra. At the moment, North Korea against Ivory Coast is on our website, and Chile against Spain and Switzerland, Honduras, the 2 group games from Group H to finish off the opening round later on tonight. You're not missing any action on the field here on 5 Live. Julio Cesar is still receiving treatment.
Why did he take his jersey off?
I think they wanted to adjust the plaster that was around him.
Oh, right. It was ripped.
The jersey was ripped.
Oh, that's what they're saying. But he can't get the other one on.
Might have put on a few pounds since the first one. There we go. Julio Cesar puts on the goalkeeping jersey once more, pulls up the sleeves, up his arms, and he's going to be okay to continue. So corner to Portugal. Over an hour now played in Durban. 0-0. Here it comes. Shimau's delivery. Alves gets up. So too Ricardo Carvalho. The defender heads it down into the ground. And Brazil are able to clear away. And it's Morelos who had that chance. Best of the game. Wasn't able to hit the target. I mean, to be fair, good save by the goalkeeper. And Portugal come forward once more. This is Danny on the right-hand side. Up ahead of him is Ricardo Carvalho. He's remained in an attacking position here. And there are 2 Portuguese in the centre, Ronaldo and Simão, but the cross doesn't arrive and Portugal win a throw-in on the far side. Chris
Portugal's starting to have a go at them, isn't it? He has a substitution.
Second substitution for Portugal. And they're going to take off the Real Madrid man Pepe and bring on in his place a player who football fans in the UK will be very familiar with, Pedro Mendes, once of Tottenham and Portsmouth and Rangers as well, of course. So he comes on instead of Pepe, and we go back to Nelspray and join Mike Sewell.
No change here. It's still Ivory Coast leading North Korea by 2-0. Yaya Toure and Romaric with the strikes in the first half. And it's slightly pedestrian from Ivory Coast, given that they have to score goals here. North Korea have had more possession in the second half, but still don't look threatening. But the intent doesn't really seem to be there from Ivory Coast. Someone's going to tell them they need to score at least half a dozen more goals. They lead 2-0.
Thanks very much, Mike. Over 25 minutes to go, and that 9-goal swing is not looking likely. Earlier on, Ivory Coast did go 2 up quite quickly, and we thought there might have been a chance. But clearly North Korea have shored up their defence since their 7-0 hammering by the Portuguese. It was amazing. They lost 7-0, and the manager named an unchanged team for the final group game, which cannot be very motivating for the guys who are left of the bench who, well, clearly aren't trusted. Portugal 0, Brazil 0. This is 5 Live from the BBC, keeping you right up to date with all the action here in South Africa as Bruno Alves comes up to the halfway line. And what's been a disappointing game between 2 of the top 3 ranked nations in the world. Either Brazil or Portugal have lost in 2010, and it looks like that's how they wanted to continue. And this is looking like a draw. But let's see what Danny can do now. Outside the penalty area, tries to slip it into Simão, and Gilberto Silva is there to pick up the pieces for Brazil, and they'll be able to clear it away. You know, this is only the second ever competitive game between these 2 nations with so much in common. Last time they met, 1966 in England, it was at Goodison Park. Eusebio was playing for Portugal, Pelé was playing for Brazil. And I wonder what those 2 great players would make of the contest we've been watching here.
You're talking about great Brazilian teams. This is more like the 1974 one. No flair, nothing happened. Yeah, Kaká's in the stand, Fabinho's on the bench. What else have they got?
And speaking of great Brazilian teams of the past, you know, yesterday when Italy conceded 3 goals, first time the Italians had conceded 3 at a World Cup since that classic final in 1970 when a very different setup Brazil put them to the sword. 0-0 here in Durban, and a header backwards from Juan to the goalkeeper Julio Cesar, and he does look to have recovered. Whatever that back injury was, he's okay. Possession with Gilberto Silva, one of the more experienced players. His 91st cap tonight for Brazil. A little Josué to his left. He's going to roll it back to Maicon, who scored Brazil's opening goal of this tournament, but they've had precious few opportunities. Only 1 shot at target in this game. And a ball in towards The unimpressive Julio Baptiste falls to the ground on the edge of the penalty area and allows Portugal to come away. And Raul Morales will send one over the top, and the linesman's flag will bring Danny to a halt.
Danny hesitated. He went first, came back, got himself back on side, but Morales didn't let the ball go early enough. Just offside.
We mentioned earlier on about the last time these sides met, and it finished 6-2 to Brazil against Portugal. No fear of that sort of scoreline here, but Danny did score his first international goal against Brazil in that game. One of the few positives for the Portuguese. Shimau's going to make an interception here on the halfway line and release Cristiano Ronaldo, surrounded by Brazilians, runs into Lucio, free kicks as the referee. Lucio appeals he was just standing his ground.
See, that would have been a yellow card first half. We've definitely had words with the referee, and I don't think they want to send anybody off or book anymore.
So a free kick to Portugal. What are the odds that Ronaldo's going to go for a goal? It must be close to 40 yards out. Ronaldo and Shimau stand over it, and I wonder if Brazil are even going to erect a wall. They've only sent 3 players into the penalty area. Thiago is hanging around the edge, maybe just going to step in and make it 4. Ronaldo in the usual pose. The lamp bulbs flash around the stadium. Ronaldo's free kick is 15 yards off target. It's just not been a good game. It's Portugal 0, Brazil 0. And here is Alan Green.
Well, the overall quality, if I can use that word, of the game remains the same. But how poor have Brazil been in the second half, Chris?
I'm just totally disappointed in both teams. You look at the names on these team sheets and you think you're going to see a bit of craft, a bit of cleverness, and that's why, it's what you want from these teams, but they're just basic things, all, and I can't believe how they can't pass a ball even from 10 yards.
Here's Josh Ray after a free kick to Brazil. To Bastos on the far side of the field. Josh Ray once more. Gilberto Silva inside the centre circle. To Maicon, the right fullback. Gilberto Silva, Lucio, Juan. All this action is played in nothing territory around the halfway line. No injection of pace, no invention, no flair, nothing. Lucio finally moving over the halfway line, and Portugal have just set up to defend it. Anytime Brazil have the ball, it's a 4-5-1 Portuguese formation, and Brazil haven't found a way through. Baptiste, who's been terrible, but he runs forward and he can't even cross the ball from the right. How does he get into the squad, never mind the team?
Well, you look at the players who Dunga left out because he said they didn't have discipline and the way they played, but we're crying out for some of them ones he's left out of the squad.
I know Ronaldinho is way past his best, but one leg of Ronaldinho is better than Baptiste. Throw to Brazil, back to Gilberto Silva. Baptiste falls over. He wasn't fouled, but there might have been a foul. In fact, the referee's given it the other way. He's obviously decided that Baptiste deliberately fell on the ball, and it's a free kick to Portugal. He actually got a little nudge from Contral.
He got a slight nudge, but he's grabbed hold of the ball, so he's given him a handball.
20 miserable minutes left, it seems. But I reckon the only team capable of winning this are Portugal, who've shown a little bit more interest in going forward in the second half. Goalkeeper Eduardo takes the free kick for Portugal. Ronaldo declines to jump. Lucio, the Brazilian captain, heads it away. Gilberto Silva plays it towards Alves. Alves did well to get it back to Gilberto Silva, whose pass was terrible. Beyond Maicon now to play. Maicon complained to Gilberto Silva, as he'd every right to. Throw-in taken by Portugal. Here's Morales skipping forward to Ronaldo. Ronaldo looked for the return pass. He thought he was fouled. Referee decided against, and Brazil can counter-attack here. This is 5 Live at the BBC. Now there is a foul on Baptiste, and it's a free kick to Brazil.
Well, Thiago there. See, first off, he would have booked him for that, wouldn't he?
And he's already been booked, so he'd been off.
Yeah, so obviously the referee, they've had words with the referee. There's no doubt about it.
The players or FIFA?
The lot.
You wouldn't put it past FIFA. Hey, this is Brazil and Portugal. We don't want these players suspended.
Exactly.
No, I'm only teasing, folks. That was a comic routine. How could I possibly suggest that FIFA would interfere with the actions of a referee? Brazil 0, Portugal 0. You make up your own minds. Julio Cesar taps it out to Lucio. Lucio, well, he's not even jogging. He's walking forward towards the halfway line. He gets a bit dizzy, so he sweeps the pass toward the far side of the field to Bastos. Good control by the left fullback. Into Joshua, the substitute who came on for Mello, who we think has an Achilles problem. Gilberto Silva to Lucio. And Lucio comes forward, and that's better play from the Inter Milan defender, the Brazilian captain. He's midway inside the Portuguese half. He turns back and says, what are we doing up here? And he plays it back.
It just shows you, though, isn't it? The most skillful
Look at
player.
him. No, he's giving the ball away, and he retreats over the halfway line.
The most skillful player is the centre half.
Alves shoots from long range, that's wide. Pathetic is the apt word for this spectacle. Given the quality and offer, the substance of these two teams, it ain't good enough. Eduardo, the Portugal goalkeeper, hits it upfield. There seemed to be a barge to the back of Ronaldo. Referee didn't give a free kick. Gilberto Silva stabs it forward, but those in red pick it up. It's with Thiago. Back to Eduardo, and Eduardo clears it first time. High towards Ronaldo. Lucio jumps. He was always going to win that in the air. He's excellent, the central defender. Gilberto Silva heads it on. And they're retreating Brazil again towards the halfway line. That was a foul on Maicon, but Maicon eluded the challenge anyway and moves forward. Does he get the return ball? No, he doesn't. Fabiano comes forward, and it goes behind. It's a goal kick.
Well, it's a shame, isn't it? Maicon and Lucio are probably the most gifted players at beating people in this team, and they're both defenders.
Well, I saw them against the Ivory Coast, Brazil. I thought they were ordinary then. I think they're less than ordinary here in Durban. And yet they're amongst the favourites. There's no question about that. They're amongst the favourites. But if this Brazilian team were to go on and win a 6th World Cup, would we remember them? Not in the slightest. So for the sake of the tournament, either they've got to improve or somebody's got to beat them and knock them out. Now Ronaldo concedes a free kick, and he's got to be careful. He was the one player for whom a yellow card would mean suspension. And of course there's the answer of the crowd, a Mexican way. Boredom is rife in Durban. Brazil 0, Portugal 0. 16 minutes to go. A beautiful moon is pointed out even by Chris Waddle above the roof on the far side of the stadium. That's the best thing about the day. I mean, it was wonderful earlier. Temperature in the mid-70s. Great stadium. Two substantially great teams. It was made for a great game of football, and we haven't had it. Instead, the crowd, as a Mexican way, sums it up. Joshua. He can't get the ball past Morelos, but Morelos can't control it. Maicon. It is Gilberto Silva. Dunga's out there. But what's he saying? Can we have more of the same, lads? 0-0's fine. Remember, Ivory Coast lead North Korea 2-0. They've clearly given up any chance of reducing the substantial goal deficit they have against the Portuguese. These two teams are going through. At the moment, Brazil top, Portugal second. Lucio moves forward, and Lucio chips the ball straight to a red shirt. And Ricardo Costa hits it to the halfway line, where Juan meets it. Finds a colleague on the far side of the field. He's going to lose it to Ronaldo. Ronaldo now, on the far side, on his own. Tries to step inside. Taken up now by Danny. Touching the penalty area. Thiago in the box. Thiago can't get the cross in. Not at all. Ball squirts back. Cross in by Ricardo Costa. Far too overhit. And now the play goes for throw-in.
Well, I would definitely say that Portugal look the more threatened. Not much, mind, but no. At least they're having a go at times.
Attendance 62,712, and that's the lightest share of the afternoon. But I wouldn't blame some of the crowd if they went home. To think we felt guilty that we couldn't get the owner of the lodge that we're staying at a ticket. Think of what we saved them from having to witness.
That's right.
Long ball hit down the left side for Brazil, overhit, and Nilmar, of whom we've seen nothing in the second half, can't keep it in play. Of course he can't. It was a dreadful pass. Dunga turns away in disgust. I mean, Dunga was, quote, in Brazilian terms, an ordinary footballer, but boy, he could pass a ball. Great defensive midfield player, and what a passer.
He could pass the ball very, very well. But I know this team's been talked about, hasn't it? No flair, well organised, disciplined, counter-attacking team. But they're Brazil, you know, and you get a tag, and you've got to play to that tag. You know, he's took the flair away from them, and he's going to turn around and say, yeah, we've got good results over the last 2 years, 3 years, but it's not nice on the eye.
Oh, that's a good ball by Contrao down the left side. Chamao races after it. Ronaldo goes to the near post. Ball's into Ronaldo. Ronaldo shoots over the crossbar.
Good effort. I didn't think he'd get any contact on that. It was a good move. So now early ball in. Ronaldo's trying to hit it with his left foot back across the goal. I think it's Juan who's close to him.
Yeah, but it was Ronaldo's touch. That's why it's a goal kick. So we've got 13 minutes to go. I was hoping it was only 12, but it's 13. This is 5 Live in the BBC, and we make no apology for saying that it ain't good in Durban. I wonder what news there is in Durban with Mike Sewell.
It's still Ivory Coast 2, North Korea 0. No prospect of a goal rush from Ivory Coast, even if Brazil were to score back in Durban. The goals from Yaya Toure and Romarek. It's just fizzling out here, Alan. Ivory Coast 2, North Korea 0.
That was Mike Sewell on that debacle. Obviously a debacle as well. Not bad money, is it, for Sven Göran? 2 million, it's rumoured he was given to take over Ivory Coast for the World Cup. 3 games, thank you very much, into the bank account. And it's rumoured that he may be going to Fulham should Roy Hodgson go to Liverpool. He's fantastic capacity for landing on his feet, Sven Göran. Absolutely wonderful. He can do no wrong, the boy. I want to know what he's on. The ball's out of play on this near side of the field. There'd be a throw in to Portugal. Contrao to take it. Dunga must be disgusted, actually. You know, never mind the dullness of the game, the inability of his team to pass the ball to one another.
I just cannot. I mean, we saw them play against the Ivory Coast, and they had spells, 5-10 minute spells, where they did look at a team where you thought, yes, I know why people are talking about them, but today they've shown nothing.
Throw in taken by Maicon, back to Lucio on the halfway line. Played to Juan inside the centre circle. Bastos available. Juan looking further upfield, but he's static at the moment. Now he trundles forward a couple of yards and plays the ball back to Joshua. Onto Bastos. The Vuvuzelas trying to drown out the sound of our commentary on the far side of the field. It's played in from the left towards Nilmar. Intercepted by Carvalho, and then Danny runs forward. Danny runs in to a Brazilian player. Ball breaks to Danny again, or at least it should have done. There's a poor pass from Pedro Mendes. Brazil have possession and lose it, and then Portugal give it back to them, and then it's given back to Portugal. How much longer can this carry on? Dunga looks distraught, absolutely distraught.
I've got to say, I'd rather watch Dunga than the match.
Yes, he's certainly more animated than this particular Brazilian 11. You know, if they were going to go on and win the World Cup, of course they'd be hailed as heroes back in Brazil. But if they don't win it, they'll be slaughtered for the style of football they've been playing.
Both players injured there.
Alves crosses from the right, overhits the cross. It's rushing away towards the far touchline. Bastos, though, rushes forward, gets to the ball, then he can't control it, and it's out for a throw-in.
Baptista, heavy challenge by Carvalho just on the box, well timed.
On Baptista.
Yeah, and he's just got himself up now.
Well, I have to say, if he picked up an injury, it would be a great loss. How can Ronaldinho not get in the squad? You know, even a Ronaldinho with a lack of discipline.
Well, look at Pato, AC Milan.
Just wondering if we've got a further goal at Nelspruit. We'll get a report in a moment. Suggestions that there might be another goal for the Ivory Coast. It won't make any substantial difference. They're far too far behind the Portuguese in terms of goal difference. But here's Danny in the far side. There has been a goal. Mike Sewell.
Ivory Coast have made it 3-0. Chelsea, Salomon Kalou with a wonderful finish from a cross on the left by Arthur Boca. They lead 3-0. They need more goals.
They only need another 6. 10 minutes to go. Where there's hope? No hope. Free kick to Portugal. I still have a sneaking feeling that Portugal are going to nick one here. Brazil are going to make another change. Ramirez will be coming on, but not surely before this Portuguese free kick. Chamao to take it from an inside right position. Bruno Alves, Carvalho, Ronaldo wait. Terrible free kick. Underhit. Doesn't beat the first player defending it for Brazil. It's headed away towards the near side, towards Dani Alves. Alves loses it. And then Ronaldo picks it up. Well done, Ronaldo. He's fouled now. And this is a better position for Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well,
has he given the free kick?
No, he gave the advantage. And Danny shot high and wide over the bar, and Ronaldo wants the free kick, but he said he had the advantage.
I wouldn't blame Ronaldo for wanting the free kick.
2 subs.
I mean, really. So, first of all, the Brazilian change. The horribly ineffective Baptista is coming off, and Ramirez comes on. What a great game Baptista's had. What a good decision for Arsene Wenger to get rid of him. And the change for Portugal, Miguel Veloso, who came on in the last game as well, he will come on.
Yeah, Veloso. He's changed his mind.
Well, he's changed his mind. Or maybe he's saying, look, boss, do I really have to participate in this debacle? 8 minutes to go. 0-0. Brazil and Portugal in Durban, and you're listening on 5 Live.
Do you know why they're not let him on? Because he's got weight above his boots, and you've got to colour in green, as Nicholas Bentner had to last night. Colour his weight strapping round his ankle, had to colour it in red.
Well, obviously that is a terrible distraction, you know, for everybody, that they might see a bit of weight in a stocking. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Or I'll start asking you where you spent last night with your colleagues. Here's Joshua on the halfway line. Back to Bastos on the far side of the field. I'll just leave that hanging in the air, folks. Ball's out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in to Brazil. Brazil 0, Portugal 0. Has he coloured his stockings?
Yep.
He has, and he'll be on for Morelos, as the referee spotted it. Morelos gets a pat in the head from Carvalho. I think Morelos has been amongst Portugal's best players in the tournament.
Well, he's worked hard, yeah, he's done well, but you can't say, to be honest, you could take anybody off today.
Yeah. So anyway, Velosso's on eventually, and we're running the clock down. 6.5 minutes to go. It will not live long in the memory, folks. So Miguel Veloso embraces Morelos. Portugal almost through to the second phase of the World Cup, the last 16. Portugal likely to finish second unless they get a winning goal here. Brazil will be top, and one of the two likely to play Spain, though they're not certain of going through to the last 16. Been some silly result. What about that game between Italy and Slovakia? It was an excellent game of football, actually. Now, Chamao breaking down the right for Portugal, running infield, running into a defender. Ball breaks though. Back it goes to Thiago, then Pedro Mendes, and now Carvalho. It's back inside the Portuguese half. Little over 5 minutes to go here. Poor cross towards the right side. Maicon was pushed by Danny, and it's a free kick to Brazil.
Graffiti coming on for Fabio.
Right. Well, another change by Brazil.
Fabio off.
So Fabiano off.
Yep.
And Graffiti on.
Yep.
Graffiti plays for Wolfsburg in Germany. Well, Fabiano scored 2 goals against Ivory Coast. The first of them was brilliant. The second one he sort of helped himself to 2 handballs. Got away with it. The first goal was brilliant. I haven't seen him today. Now, is that a tribute to the Portuguese defence?
You've got to give Portugal credit where they defended, but I've got to say Brazil have played far too slow today. If most teams are going to do this against Brazil, they're going to have to up the tempo, and he's got to inject a little bit of flair, which Robinho's got to play. Obviously Kaga's got to play, but they've got to be at the top of their game.
Just saw a shot on another monitor of Sven-Göran Eriksson punching the air in frustration. Obviously he's been in touch with his broker, who told him he'd only get 3.5% on that 2 million. What about Benitez? Gets the sack from Liverpool, gets 4 million compensation, and walks into being charged of the European champions. There's something wrong about this game, folks. Daniel Alves. There's a lot wrong with this game of football in the World Cup. Brazil 0, Portugal 0. 4 minutes to go. Dunga still as animated as ever, unlike his team. Maicon back to Lucio. Lucio can't even break into a walk, never mind a trot. Alves takes it up again. Alves crosses right-footed towards the right side, towards Cully down the right hand side. Ramirez running forward, tackle, ball breaks out of play, throw into Brazil. Ramirez will take it, throws it back to Maicon, who's a giant of a right back. Maicon turns away from his marker, plays it back to Gilberto Silva, and now Joshua to the right side and Maicon again. They don't look interested in winning the game, Brazil. I mean, of course it draws it up for them, but they show no real attacking intent. Here's Lucio to the right side and Ramirez once more. Ramirez moving in towards the edge of the penalty area. Pulls the cross low into the box and it's stabbed behind by Bruno Alves for a corner.
It's a little bit better. Ramirez actually getting at the fullback, got himself a little bit of space. Hard and low. Easy clearance.
So the corner to be taken by Dani Alves from the right hand side. And they've only committed 3 players into the Portuguese penalty area, Brazil. And it's a terrible corner from Alves. Lucky to get the ball back off a defender. Onto his left foot this time. Crosses deep. Lucio with a header goalward straight into the arms of the goal.
Terrible header. You know, if he heads that back across the 6-yard box, there's 3 yellow shirts running in and that could have been a goal. But he headed it straight at the goalkeeper.
Why were there so few players in the penalty area in the first place? Brazil move forward again. Graffiti then doesn't get a touch. And it's knocked away to Dani. Dani over the halfway line now, miscontrols the ball, it's out, throw into Brazil. Don't worry folks, you've only got a couple of minutes and a little out of time to go.
I feel sorry for the people who are driving around and at work and they've had to tape this. I'd delete it when you get in. I wouldn't watch this.
It was a fixture that stood out to me, you know, in the group phase. You know, I thought, well, that's got to be good. And we knew that this was a spectacular new arena in Durban. By the way, the old stadium, where I commentated on England against South Africa 7 years ago, it's only 100 yards away. But it's cast in the shadow of this magnificent structure now. Venue for the semi-final. One of the semi-final. Played forward carelessly by Brazil. And it appears that they haven't got much backup on the bench either, do they? Head upfield by Portugal. Chested away from Ronaldo by Lucio. Maicon to Joshua. 90 seconds remain before we're into added time. Still an apology of a match. Brazil 0, Portugal 0. Gilberto Silva inside the centre circle. Little movement up front. Little movement on the halfway line either. It's tapped to Joshua. And then Bastos. Back to Joshua. Gilberto Silva takes it out. Ronaldo has been up front on his own for most of the game for Portugal and hasn't had any service at all. Bastos for Brazil inside the final minute of the game. Gilberto Silva turns back, gives it to João. Gilberto Silva. You do wonder why the referee will add time on when both teams seem unintered in finding a goal.
The crowd are booing, whistling.
It's as well there aren't many more England fans in here that really would get a crescendo of boos. We certainly have some. A few crosses of St George evident around the stadium. Throw in for Brazil. The ball's played back to Lucio, the captain. Look at the urgency he displays. Now he moves over the halfway line, a little shuffle, flicks the ball to the right to Maicon. It's going towards Alves, is it? No, it's hacked away by Contrao. Then Lucio beats Ronaldo. Actually, most of the time Lucio has beaten Ronaldo. 5 minutes of added time. Heaven help us. What have we done to deserve this? Goodness gracious me. Can they not apply common sense?
5 minutes.
Oh, goodness. Oh. Mind you, we're paid to be here, to be fair. We are paid to be here. But occasionally you get games like this in the World Cup and you do wonder why you bother. And anybody watching in television back home will unquestionably have switched it off. And if you're sticking with us on 5 Live, don't watch the highlights. Just don't. I'm not even thinking about persuading you to watch the highlights. I wouldn't put you through misery. Bastos on the far side of the field. 4 minutes of added time remaining. Alves plays it forward and a shot, takes a deflection. Good save by the goalkeeper. Palming it away for a corner.
Well, that even took a deflection, wasn't it, for a shot on target? But good save, comfortable save. Made it look a little bit harder than what it was.
It was Ramirez who shot goal.
Just as well, it was going about 20 yards wide of that hit Alves.
Maicon. Oh, are they ever going to get a corner right? How many have we seen actually beat the first defender? Maybe one or two.
Two.
And look at Dunga. Look at he's screaming. He must know that Brazil can't win the World Cup playing like this.
They can't.
They cannot win it. I don't care how solid they are. They haven't got enough, Brazil. But teams of the calibre of Italy keep being knocked out. I mean, what happens if Spain go tonight? Do you know if England can find some form? I really think, Chris. I don't know about you, Chris. If England can find some form, they just might do something spectacular.
I think Korea or Japan might win it.
I like the Japanese. I think they're a good side. What about Honda as a player? Why is he playing in Russia? Why has nobody picked him up in Western Europe? Neat car as well. Anyway, 2.5 minutes of more torture to come, folks. Trau with the throw in for Portugal, the left full back. Gets the ball back, plays it down the left touchline to Thiago. Thiago moves forward, he's brought down, it's a free kick. And
strange, there has been no yellow card second half.
No, there has been a complete difference in attitude by the Mexican referee. He's been got at. 7 yellow cards in the first half, none of which you could argue with, and yet so lenient since half time. Still 3-0 in the other game. Ivory Coast leading North Korea. Portugal with a free kick, played in left-footed into the penalty area. Carvalho was up there, he appeals for handball, not given. Bruno Alves crosses from the right, headed away by João and headed down by Brazil. Portugal might win it back. Oh, good touch by Lucio to the far side, and then it's given away. And Portugal have it. Bruno Alves, there's nobody in the penalty area. It's played in, easily intercepted, given away. Chance here for Portugal. Keeper dives in front of the Portuguese player, and it's behind for a corner.
What was Juan doing? Control the ball there. Now they've got cramp. Portuguese player. Danny's gone down with cramp. It was a terrible touch by Juan. And it's the goalkeeper again to the rescue.
I mean, it was laughable. You know, Portugal, if they win the game, will win the group. Bruno Alves on his own on the right, and he had nobody to cross the ball to. Nobody was in the Brazilian penalty area. And then, of course, João shows himself to be a Brazilian buffoon by giving the ball away without any pressure on him at all, and Portugal might have scored. Well, I think it's just cramp for Danny. But Lucio's header away was in the first place. Did it touch his arm?
Handball.
Chris thinks it was a handball by Lucio. Surely Danny, a yard from the goal line, must move over the goal line to receive treatment. Can't just leave him on the pitch like this.
He's got cramp.
Lift him off. They're lifting him off now. Yeah, lift him off. Just pull him by his boots, let him shuffle along on his backside, and let's get on with the game. We've had enough of this game. About a minute of added time remaining. Portugal down to 10 men, but with a corner. Don't tell me we can get a goal like this after this shocking joke of a match. Brazil 0, Portugal 0. João still waiting to take the corner. Some pushing in the penalty. João plays it in, not a good corner, headed away comfortably, and then Daniel Alves tried to flick the ball on, completely missed it, and what is Ramirez doing? He's sort of banging the defender in the back there, and he gives away a free kick.
Yep, they just cancel each other out.
Ramirez.
They just cancel each other out.
Referee, we've had the 5 minutes. Enough is enough. Free kick to Portugal. Don't put us through any more torture. Go on, blow it. Put your whistle to your mouth. Blow it. Blow. Thank heavens for that. Listen to the boos. Just listen to the boos all around this stadium.
No.
The opening game was sold out. This was sold out. So many people, 62,000, came here thinking this has got to be a great game of football, and they got that.
Well, it's the worst game of the tournament so far, without a shadow of a doubt. Yes, typical group match when basically you know what you need, and unfortunately not one of these teams needed to win, and they've just basically played the game out. It's been watching a practice game in my eyes. For the calibre of play on the pitch, it's been absolutely shocking, and it's a shame because, as you say, people pay good money to watch football, and 0-0, and the managers and teams will probably get a bit of hating off their media, and rightly so.
Well, I mean, looking at Brazil in particular, Chris, do you think that team can win the World Cup?
Well, I'd be disappointed if they do, if they play like this. It's not the way people want. People copy teams, and you try and think, oh, they're great to watch, I'll let them play football this way. Nobody would like to copy that team.
0-0, Mark. Sorry.
It's straight. That's all right. I don't blame you. The fans are still staying in it. I don't know if they're in shock at what they've just watched, but or whether they're waiting to vent their feelings on the players.
Now,
but
they thought this was the practice match before the real two teams come out.
They think it's an 8 o'clock kickoff or something like that.
This is a sponsors game, this too.
Yeah, this is the over 35s.
I feel so sorry for the people that paid to watch this. I mean, that just isn't good enough at a World Cup. Can I play devil's advocate, though? Because that's kind of what I have to do, Chris, and say, no Kaká, no Elano, no Robinho. They did what they had to do, got a point to top the group, and they have those players, give or take injury with Elano, to come back in refreshed when they play their last 16 games.
Yeah, but we've seen them play 3 games now. Against North Korea, they won convincing. They won. Against Ivory Coast, they had spells of about 15-20 minutes in the game where you actually thought, that's better. Today, they've shown nothing. Yeah, Kaká can make a difference. We know he can. He's a great player. Robinho can make a difference on his day. And Elano's had a good start. So, yeah, you take 3 players away. But in the first 2 games when these players played, there was nothing to get excited about this team then. So, will they improve? If you're a team now who's going to play Brazil in this last 16, you're not going to fear them. You're not going to think, oh no, they've got him. How do you stop them?
They have just flashed up on the big screen that Cristiano Ronaldo has won man of the match.
I know why.
So they can interview him, I'm assuming, after.
They can interview him, and plus the sponsors will be able to get a photo with him.
Yeah.